Hello everyone, welcome back to the lab. So today I'm bringing everyone not really a new deck, but relatively a new way of building an old deck, as everyone already see in the title and the thumbnail. Uh, Last weekend I went to Philadelphia Regional. I met a good amount of people there, and then first of all, I appreciate everyone who said hi to me, had a conversation with me, and then one of the viewers had was asking me about like Drytron things. Therefore, I had the idea of this specific version of Drytron for a while, just never really built it, never really took it out, and then went to any tournaments. And then, I think it's a good time to really share this, and then because I took it to another local the other day and had fun with it. So without further ado, I guess let's start it with the list. This is how it looks like. It has basically majority of the regular Drytron stuff. Well, obviously with some of the new toys. I guess we'll go through the cards very quick. First of all, the A Drytrons, 3 Alpha, 3 Zeta, 1 Gamma, 1 Delta. This is just like the minimum amount you need. Having a full hand of Drytron nowadays against like the common threats to the Drytron decks, such as what? The Shufflers from the Ishizu package, Beast Towels, Dweller, and then occasionally Super Poly. Having a full hand of Drytron is almost like just an auto lose to those cards. So I just go with the minimum amount. This is also the like my personal favorite Drytron lineup, which is 3311. No more like not 3 Gamma or no more Deltas. And the theory is 2 Diviner, 1 Orange. Self-explanatory. Diviner is a pretty good normal summon in this format. Just for the fact, unlike before, there's mainly only Herald Arclight and then other entities. Now there are the exchange card, the Ishizu card, the Kaldo and Medora, as the target for Diviner 2 mil. Then the fairies, Perfection and Benton. That's all I think I need. When Benton was at 1 or even at 2, I think Ida was a good, like a necessary option. Now when Benton finally has gone back to 3, 3 Benton is already enough to do all the like searches you need. Ida 10 just become like a force Benton that doesn't really have a search effect, which and then imagine like bringing it out from the graveyard is like kind of not reliable when facing like all the Ishizus and B styles, and also at the same time, um, it kind of be bricky if I raw open it. So I think Ben 10 is 3 Ben 10 with no Ida 10 is enough. That's also what people played back at the very, very beginning when the deck first came out. Everyone just everyone just only playing 3 Ben 10 and no Ida 10s. And then the Shizu cards, the new toy for the deck. Some people are asking me, how do I really combat Ishizu cards in the meta with Drytron? And the answer is very simple, and I think that even applied to tier elements. You play the Ishizu cards to counter the Ishizu cards, because the Ishizu cards are technically the best cards against the Ishizu cards. Um, so that's pretty much the idea. And also, in addition to it, all the Ishizu cards are fairies, so they kind of synergy well with Perfection and Diviner. The only downside is they're Earth Fairy, not Life Fairy, so Ben 10 cannot search it or do anything with it. That's a little bit unfortunate, but they're still good targets. Good things to have in the deck. And then I do have a lot of other things to try to turn these on when I'm going second. And I guess the spells, Medianus, Nova, Emergency, Foolish, only 4 technically like spell Drytrons. Nova is always a thing that I see a lot of people like to play 3 of. I never really a fan of it. At most, I'll only run 2 Nova, But Nova, like nowadays, I think just emergency search a Drytron name is better than just raw summon it and let you like Nova summons the Drytron, so you have to start with that Drytron from the graveyard. That expose yourself to all the Ishizus and the Beastels, and that just more riskier than emergency. Foolish, on the other hand, is similar as Nova, but but in addition to it, Foolish can access to the Ishizu cards using Keldo and Medora to just force out opponents' Keldo and Medora. So so Foolish is just the better one at this point because it does additional things. And also Nova is being hard once per turn. Join two copies is just one in the hand. So at the very end, when I was trying to like lower the amount of cards in the deck, I was just cutting the second Nova, because I couldn't find anything else. Then the extra Foolish Burial. I guess we'll save this card until I go through the extra deck. Prep and pre-prep. This is the package I think allowing Drytron to still be good enough to be played. Honestly, like starting with prep pre-prep is still just one of the best thing you can do with the deck, and that's still one of the most threatening starting way you can have in the whole card pool. Um, Starting as prep pre-prep was like if your opponent want to shuffle back the Ben 10 from the graveyard, cool, they can do it. I would just get another Ben 10 search, which is still just grab the Ben 10, and then um because I put perfection on the field before I even drop any monster, this also indirectly played around beast house, and any further beast house after perfection will just get negated. And just and also because they are the Ishizu card being fairy, just pre-press sitting on the perfection and pitching your Ishizu cards is already like a pretty good ending board. So this is the best starter. This is the best ending. This is the strongest card in the whole deck. And then prep, it has like a lot of people forget prep has an additional effect where you can add a ritual spell back from the graveyard. Um, in the format where Ishizu cards are so popular, you are expecting your opponent to mill and have your ritual spell naturally fall into graveyard because they'll probably want to shuffle your Drytrons before the ritual spells. So prep can just like get you a +2 here, to combat with other like your opponent's board. Then 3 power, 3 droplet, power 4, power just turn into anything. Droplet is like the main answer to Dweller. Dweller also is a big problem and also doesn't really have many outs existing in the card pool. So I think 3 drop play is just necessary for the Dweller problem. Alright, now let's go to the extra deck. New Beta, Beatrice, standard Drytronic C, Drytron extra deck cards. Beatrice now has additional effect to mail the Ishizu cards. The Zeus package, I think Assemble Nightingale is a little bit worse than Fucho, just for the fact there's like Kaleido Hearts, Solic, things that remove or negate without even destroying it. Assemble Nightingale. So Fucho is the better choice in my opinion at this point. Then Omega, Arclight, Entus, and surprisingly, a Kikalos. These 4 are essentially, some of them are the diviner targets, some of them are the extra foolish targets. Extra Foolish Burial is a card, says pay half, send a monster from your extra deck to graveyard, and then side of that, I can now set any spell trap to activate this. This has some cool synergy even back then just to send Arclight to get a surge. So it's like another copy of Foolish pre-prep or prep. But nowadays, because existing of Kit Kalos, You can really just start a turn. It was like, oh, I don't have any Drytrons. Active Foolish Goods. Send Kikaos if I Meal 5. Try to hit some Drytrons or with like hit some Drytrons with Ishizus. That's a way of playing. Going second, Extra Foolish can send enters to pop cards or even send Omega, and Omega in the graveyard can just force out like your opponent's Ishizu in their graveyard. Sometimes that just like the necessary thing has to happen. Having one Arclight is okay because all the Shizu card existing, you can just shuffle everything back. Honestly, even cutting another Mu Beta is an option. I just didn't find anything else more needed than the second Mu Beta. So yeah, these are the four. The cool package to synergize with the extra force. Then the Link Monster, Link Rainbow for Nova, Elf IP, Unicorn, Avermax. IP Unicorn has been a very standard ending board monster to make for the Drytron deck. And then Elf is like another new toy that came out relatively recently. There are Diviner in the deck. So a common way, well, you cannot bring Diviner back in your turn due to the fact Diviner is a normal summonable monster, so Drytron side effect will just prevent that happening. However, there are a couple ways to do. You can go standard ending on IP, then you can go IP into Elf, using Elf to bring back Diviner. The Diviner mill like an Entus or a Shuffler from the deck, which is a way of interrupting. And also Avermax is just I guess the thing to make against tier deck. So uh yeah, Tielemans has in general has a rough time against an IPA Avermax. So I just toss him there. Say sometimes I can win. I can auto win on a Avermax. And that's pretty much the me. And then extra deck. Side deck, I've been changing quite a bit, so there wasn't really anything specifically in there. There are some things I thought about play in the main or in the extra, but I ended up cutting it. Kelback is one because there are Ishizu cards, and then just Diviner, Mill, Kelback can do some like deck destruction kind of thing. Issue being, unlike the elements, when Drytron gets into graveyard, they don't really trigger anything. They are a little bit slow, and then you just don't get direct, immediate benefit from milling Drytrons. And then usually by the time you get your turn back, you have enough Drytrons in the graveyard. So Kelback at the end wasn't really like a particularly good card. Well, it's a good card, wasn't particularly needed. Vanity's Ruler was an interesting thought because having Perfection, Beatrice, these two are both Life Fairy. They lose to Super Poly into Garura. Having Vanity's Ruler can make sure Perfection isn't being like outed by Super Poly. Downside being summoning Veni's ruler requires to like kind of sacrifice not being able to normal summon diviner, and not being able to normal summon to diviner will make the board quite smaller. So I think this is just like a good side card going first, and then in the main deck it's also kind of bad going like Joya going second. The other Drytron like Ritual Monster that used to be played nowadays with 3 Ben 10 taking all the spaces in the deck. I don't think any of these are needed. I think Natasha is good for time, but the other two is really almost never being summoned, and whenever being drawn, they're kind of bricky. Beta is another one that I wanted. I tossed it in the very beginning because it does put things back from the banish pile more like a recycle way against beast tiles. At the end, it just turned to be not needed because I think using the fairy to counter is better, and also deck is very tight. And then second Nova, as I explained why, when I had only one Nova, and another one is And I think we never get to really play with Ultimate Slayer in Drytron. Ultimate Slayer is a card that has very, very good synergy with the whole Drytron deck because you naturally have fusion and um, like good targets for fusion and synchro, and then a good amount of links and exceeds. And then this second Mubita is honestly not that necessary, so it can be easily replaced by another Ultimate Slayer target. Things like what's things like this aggregator. This is a super from what's the new set called? Darkwing. It has a graveyard says graveyard fast says if this card is sent to graveyard, you can target a face up card on the field and negate the effect to an end phase. No one really summoned it as a rank 9, and then mainly just for the grave as a Ultimate Slayer target, and that's like an option. Um, and even just like Garura, you send it, you draw a card, which isn't that necessary in the deck because I think Kikalas and Entas usually just gonna be better, but still an option. So, and then obviously the Evil Twin Evil Twin package for the links. That's obviously the good choice. That's pretty much it for the whole deck. Combo wise, I guess let me see. I guess I'll just do a standard Alpha Zeta. Like Alpha Zeta is the standard, the most basic combo, the most infamous combo, which in this one it doesn't really make a insane board like before because how many hits we've taken from the ban list. But Alpha Data obviously still do pose a big threat, or specifically this hand I even opened Dawn. Like I opened those targets for pre prep. So send us retro. I think Drytron is like no, it won't. I definitely won't say the best option. Not even like one of the tier one option in the whole format for how many Super Poly, Beastel, Shuffler, like Ishizu things existing. But it's like a decent like tier 1.5, tier two, a local pick. I mean, I won't if I'm not grinding at world points. I will be down to just bring this to a regional and have fun with it. Mm. So yeah, Diviner can also mill the Ishizu cards, which I guess in this case, since I already have these, I could just mill one. And so search one of these. Like unlike back then, there's like Beatrice is kind of useless as an ending board rank 6 to make. Um, because there isn't really anything like worth milling in front of the deck. But nowadays, because Ishizu card existing, you can really mill like another interruption to the graveyard and just have it loaded there. For this hand, I think I would just go for Delta because I have one already. Then Delta. Ooh, I needed this turn. And doing like opponent's turn, I can go like Beatrice of male Detached Diviner, male like the other copy of Shuffler that I don't have. And then IP can turn into any of these. Just like IP plus Beatrice into Elf. Elf will make Perfection like not targetable. And the Elf can bring back Diviner. Diviner can send Entus or other shuffler that wasn't there from turn one. Then Unicorn obviously is an option. Or like Linkable, Beatrice, and IP all from extra desk or Avramax is also another thing to make. That's pretty much the simpler ending board. Pretty self-explanatory. So long story short, just to summarize everything, I don't think the shufflers, the Ishizu cards, really giving that big a problem as a lot of people think because there are a good amount of answers, and it's very simple. Just use the same card to go against them. Um, Beast Tiles are in my opinion, posing more threats than the Shizus. But like if there are a loaded amount of fairies in hand, it can be played around. And I think ultimately, it down to the end, it was still just like Dwaller. Um, and that problem it's very hard to resolve. It's very hard to solve the Dwaller problem. Like if I can figure it out when I'm playing Drytron, I can use the same thing probably in tier, and that will be good. But even when I was playing tier, I still couldn't really figure out the best answer to Dwaller. Um, and that like resulting Drytron has suffering from the same problem. So ultimately, I'll say I think Drytron is it's a fun deck to play. It feel like a worse version of tier, but still a very decent deck to have fun with. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, comments, just comment down below. I will respond whenever I get the chance to. And hope you like it. I may start posting these kind of videos, contents more often than I was in the last half year. So feel free to pay more attention to the channel. And then hope everyone liked this, and then hope everyone had a good holiday season. And I will see everyone in the new year. See ya.